Okay, he titles this, It is the Lord. And our verse is from John 20, verse 28. Thomas answered and said unto him, My Lord and my God. Jesus said to her, Give me a drink. John 4:7. Sounds kind of rude, doesn't it? Give me a drink. King James Version is give me to drink. Jesus said to her, Give me a drink. How many of us are expecting Jesus Christ to quench our thirst when we should be satisfying Him? Is that kind of a common thing?
Mm-hmm.
You expect
Not
God
about what we can give, but what about He can give?
Yeah. We should be pouring out our lives, investing our total beings, and drawing beings, not drawing on Him to satisfy us. Let me read that again. We should be pouring out our lives, investing our total beings, not drawing on Him to satisfy us. But we do, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's our world. It's our mentality, especially today. Yeah. What can you give me?
Yeah.
What can I get? It's not about what I can give, but about what can I get? Whether it's my country, my town, my family, my job.
What do I get out of it?
Yep. Because that's how the devil has trained our society to think. We're schooled and educated in that fashion.
And I know often we blame governments or powers to be or whatever, but yeah, it's Satan.
It is. And you know what? That's why narcissism, I know this is an old topic, but narcissism is about me. And that's why it is a plague in our world today. The spirit, there's a narcissistic spirit.
Excuse me.
It's running rapid. People are open to it because it's all about self. And what does the Bible say? We're supposed to deny self. So if we can make self the sinner, if Satan can make self the sinner, he's already won those individuals.
You shall be witnesses to me. Acts 1:8. That means lives of pure, uncompromising, and unrestrained devotion to the Lord Jesus, which will be satisfying to Him wherever He may send us.
Read that again.
You shall be witnesses to me. Excuse me. Acts 1:8. That means lives of pure, uncompromising, and unrestrained devotion to the Lord Jesus, which will be satisfying to Him wherever He may send us. Beware of anything that competes with your loyalty to Jesus Christ. And that's probably a devotion right there. Just
Can you read that again?
beware of anything that competes with your loyalty to Jesus Christ. The greatest competitor of true devotion to Jesus is the service we do for Him. It is easier to serve than to pour out our lives completely for Him. We think we're doing a good thing. The goal of the call of God is His satisfaction, not simply that we should go do something for Him. We are not sent to do battle for God, but to be used by God in His battles.
Hold on right there. What did you say to me the other day, Zeb? The Lord impressed to you. You would ask the question to Him.
I had wondered if, I know angels and demons take part in spiritual warfare, literally, but I wondered if God actually fights in it. And He spoke to me. Jeremiah, I think it's 21:50, Israel was his battle axe, and that was his church at the time. But now, we are His church, so we are His battle axe. So He fights in spiritual warfare, but He fights through us. When He calls us, when we start intercessing, it's not us fighting, it is God wielding his battle axe in spiritual combat. He is fighting.
Because you're praying in the Spirit, His Spirit that's filled in you.
When we're fighting in spiritual warfare, God is wielding his battle axe against, whether it's the world, the sickness, the devil, whatever.
Hence, I can do all things through Christ. So, giving Him the glory.
Good. Very good. Very good.
So anyways, that just
Yep.
tied in with that for me.
It did. So I'm going to read that again. We are not sent to do battle for God, but to be used by God in His battles. Are we more devoted to service than we are to Jesus Christ Himself? Probably a pretty common thing. You know, when we get our, if we don't know it, we get our priorities. We allow our priorities to get out of whack or whatever. We think we're serving the Lord, but we're actually serving ourselves more than Jesus. Do we even realize that?
Relationship is hard, and it's like family. Okay, we can be so involved in taking care of our family that we don't even realize that we don't have a relationship with our family. And it becomes easier. It's easier to provide than it is to interact. It's easier to do the work for the Lord because while we're doing something good, we're doing something that He would have done when He was on this earth or that He requires us to do. But it's easier than relationship with Him.
Yes.
The time in prayer, the sacrifice, the personal sacrifice.
'Cause that means I have to spend time talking to Him, spend time allowing Him to talk to me, or I could just be busy.
Yeah.
Not worrying about.
I can do the things I want to do that make me feel good, and I can convince myself that I am doing good when I'm not doing what I should. I mean, those things are good.
We need it all.
Helping the poor or reaching out, but as long as I feel good at the end of the day, therefore, I did good.
Yep.
What's what you always said? The right things for the wrong reasons.
And it can be vice versa. There's some people just keep doing continual work for God so they don't have to have the spiritual relationship.
Yes.
Some have the spiritual relationship so they don't have to do the work for God. I believe for salvation, we need to have a spiritual relationship with God, because if we don't, we're going to fall away because we don't have any foundation. But we should do things for God. It's not a have to, it is a we should.
Well, that's where we go back to yesterday's devotion. Seeking, desiring after God, and He will give us the desires of our hearts, which are His things, okay? I don't think it's possible to have a spiritual relationship, and I know what you were saying, but just to clarify, we can be in prayer all the time, and we can be in the Word all the time, and we can say we have a spiritual relationship. We can look at that and go, oh, okay, I'm good. But if we don't have a heart to do His work, to be a service to others, then we really don't have a spiritual relationship like we think we do. Because if we did, we would have that churning inside of us. Maybe we don't do it well. Maybe we still are reluctant to do it. But there would be a drawing in us to say, God, I know this is what you want from me. This is what I want to do. You know? Right. And then it's up to us to take action.
I don't know, but I'm getting
Gotta have the balance. Yep, that's true.
That's why the preaching of grace alone, yes, His grace is enough to save us, but if the preaching is incorrect because He tells us without works faith is dead.
Right.
And the teaching of works, I'm good because I've done this. Well, that's incorrect as well.
Yep.
You have to have the complement of both.
Yep.
For the right reasons.
Absolutely. So you're right. The service, like you said, service is easier than investing ourselves.
It is.
We think we are, but we're really not. We're avoiding the commitment to the Lord.
Interaction is hard. Relationship.
Well, and
is
it's probably
hard.
getting harder and harder and harder with, you know,
We talked about that narcissistic spirit a few minutes ago, and it's still about self, because narcissists are totally focused on themselves. To interact with others in a healthy way is not a possibility for a narcissist, for somebody who has that spirit on them, because it takes away from self when we because if we're in a healthy relationship, I'm going to look at that relationship and go, what do you need from me? You need something from me for this relationship to be healthy, because if I don't give something to you and you don't give something to me, it's not a healthy relationship. If I'm always giving or you're always giving and I'm always taking, it's a self-centered relationship.
well, and that's, you know, what he said, you know, right in the beginning here. If we're always expecting Jesus to do something for us, and we never do anything for him, that's totally lopsided, isn't it? That's
Oh, well, that's true.
And that's something the church does not teach at all.
He just pointed out. Read that. First recorded commandment to Adam.
Genesis 1:28, and God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth.
So family,
yep,
relationship.
yep. Hey, John,
Slides fast.
what are you doing? You photobombing? Video bombing?
She does
Oh,
it very.
we could call these Bassett devotions.
She does, Mama. She does it very well.
She does do it very.
Down and dirty in the word.
All right, you need to
But I mean, we'll stop and think about this for a few minutes. Okay, if we can't have relationship because you held up the phone, the technology and everything, we get the spirit of narcissism, self-centeredness,
Right.
and it's running rampant. Nobody even knows how to have a relationship. We don't know ourselves. We don't know each other.
Well, we don't
There's no
have
way
to.
for us to know God.
We don't have to, because we can just sit here and, you know, I know we've heard preachers and other people, you know, bringing up sitting in the airport or in the restaurant or whatever, and a family of, you know, husband and wife, or, you know, family of 4, 5, 6, whatever, and most of them are sitting across the table from each other. You know, the husband's having a conversation or whatever with somebody on his phone, and the wife is too, and so maybe he was texting work, or you know, maybe something
There are times,
important,
I mean,
you know.
they have their place.
I get
and
it,
They've
but-
got benefits.
But you know, how often have we just walked through the store, you know, and bypassing shoppers, and you bypass them several times, and maybe they're checking their grocery list. I don't know, but it just seems like
You want me to pick up? Where is it?
Yeah, but this is.
it just seems like so many people are always
But it didn't begin with that.
No.
Go back to my childhood, my upbringing. My mother designed her work schedule so that she never had to be home when we were home. Because there were other jobs available other
sure,
than second shift. She could have gone to a factory. And I wondered for years until I realized that because she had no skill to interact with us children growing up, it was easier. She could provide, which was, I'm grateful for. But as far as an emotional connection,
so she was doing the service.
she was doing the service, but she couldn't do the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of millions of people in households before technology, and technology has just made it more rampant and more,
Do you want to check the fire?
well, what's a plague when it becomes exponential? Yeah, it has made it a pandemic.
Yep.
I was thinking this has nothing to do with it, but yet it does. You know how we've struggled for me to be home and available to our children in an economy that doesn't allow this easily. The pandemic, apparently, I don't know if you guys have heard of the trend trad wife. And trad is short for traditional. So now all these women are coming in. It's just like the homestead movement. that wants, they want this perfect homestead with all of the gadgets, but none of the sacrifice. They want to be off grid, but they want to be off grid with the solar and all these expensive toys and tools, and that's what you're seeing on YouTube. One of the things about the trad life, and it hasn't settled well, but it's something I've been thinking about, and it occurred to me. I should be happy that there is a movement, even though it's on social media, encouraging women being at home. But when you watch these channels or you see these clips, it's got some homesteading tucked in with it, but they've got the right income. The husband has the right income. They've got the help. They've got this. One of the popular wives I saw on a news thing the other day, she's in this little corner, and it looks like, kind of a dumpy little place. It would be like home, a real home. Come to find out, her husband's like this multimillionaire, and she's making this sourdough bread, and she's got a kid sitting right next to this tiny table, and then she's pouring off this milk from canning jars through straining it, and she's going to turn it into cheese. Well, okay, so here's the reality. Here's what the thing that boils down, though, to me is the representation is wrong, because in our day and age, staying at home is a sacrifice. I mean, really staying at home for most of us don't have excessive income. Most of us are struggling. If we're staying home, we are struggling to do it. But what it boils down to is the foundation. They're encouraging these people to do this, and the foundation has to be Christ. We didn't have the foundation in the church for people to stay at home. We saw that eroded before we were even there, and we got there, and it was like a struggle then.
Yep.
But we've got to have the foundation to understand that God made man and women separate, that there are different roles, and the importance of the roles are no less or no more than the other, but they serve differently. And in the end, it boils down to relationship. But we don't know how to have relationship. So none of the roles matter anymore. And now we're getting a movement, but there's no foundation. It's so much of it. Yeah, there are some real things that are presented on YouTube, but most of it is false. We know how it can be to, behind you's clean. What's behind me? A pile of coats and buckets? I mean,
It's not a white wall inside.
That's a real farmhouse. We've got to understand, especially as Christians, the importance of relationship.
Seems like a lot of what you see on YouTube is romanticized, whatever. YouTube is basically TV, isn't it? With everyday people doing, so not obviously not everything on YouTube is romanticized.
No.
But
We're on there.
it seems like oh boy. But it seems like so much of the stuff they try to make glamorous or whatever, like you were saying, just
They've even tried to make religion glamorous, quote, living for God.
That's been happening for as long as it's been profitable.
It has been,
Oh,
but it's
yeah,
become
yeah.
more profitable, and we've got to take our stance, and we've got to hold firm. I mean, there are people that are they're ruining their lives because they see these false presentations, making decisions that affect their entire life and their families. And we need honesty, and we need to be upfront in all areas.
I guess there was a day when you had to go seeking that stuff. Now all you got to do is push a button, and it's there. Just as for me and my house,
We will serve the Lord.
the best we can. Ain't gonna be perfect, or probably not even right half of
say
the
that.
time.
It don't have to be pretty. It don't have to be smooth.
We just gotta get down that narrow road, right? Just, I guess, like we say almost every day, just Just need to serve the Lord the best we can. Just live for God the best we can, according to His Word, and not our own thoughts and philosophies and stuff.
Yeah,
But
it's
what does the Bible really say?
It's really so simple.
Not somebody else or whatever, but what does the Bible say?
Relationship with Him and service to others. It's that simple. If we have relationship with Him, we keep ourselves unspotted from the world, as the Word tells us.
Yeah, yeah.
We have service to others, visit the fatherless and the widows in their affliction. We're reaching those that are in need.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Doing things for God.
Mm-hmm.
We think of a minister as someone behind a pulpit, but we're all called to be ministers. Like, I think the term minister used to mean like just like minister to them,
Minister.
give them food, give them water, give them help.
What they need.
We're all called to do that in the physical realm, and by that we can reach them in the spiritual realm. We're giving them what they need, and what they need is Jesus.
Yes.
And by giving them what they need in the physical realm, we can open them up to God. We can open them up to helping them in the spiritual realm.
Right.
We can.
Yep.
But even
Yep.
if they don't, I mean, Jesus helping others was not them